I've just come back from vacation, and I really had tremendous vacation. We went to California with my husband and my 2 kids, and we swapped houses with an American family. And it was so nice experience. We get to know their way of living, we get to know their friends, their family, and it's so rich experience for both families. And I must say that after such exciting holidays, it's always pretty hard to come back to work. But what really enabled this transition, what make it smoother, are really the colleagues. I was really glad to see my colleagues again, just share a cup of coffee with them, have lunch with them, and I was really excited to share all the very nice things that I did during my vacation. And also learn from them, learn from what they did during their vacation. But this simple, important, and inclusive moment, some of us do not want to share it. Some of us avoid this moment, or even run away from it. Can you just imagine coming back from holidays, seeing all your colleagues happy to share their vacation, and you paying attention at every single word you pronounce, in case there is a he or a she in the sentence? Or even inventing a new life with your imaginary wife or husband. I'm talking about our LGBT colleagues, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender colleagues, who are not officially out in the company, who do not want to reveal their homosexuality at work. I remember Christoph, one of my former managers in another company. Christoph was in this case. He didn't want to reveal his homosexuality at work. So when we were back from holidays, or even from a weekend, he was running away from coffee machine. He didn't want to share anything private. And the team spirit really reflected that. We were a very professional HR team, but we never shared anything private. Our team meetings were always around deliverables, KPIs, and very professional topics. 2 years ago, an LGBT association approached me in Lyon and proposed that we sign a non-discrimination charter for LGBT employees. The aim of this charter was to make sure that we have an inclusive environment at work, to support our colleagues, our LGBT colleagues, if they are discriminated, and to make sure that we have an equitable treatment for every employee, whatever their sexual orientation is. I wasn't too long to take my decision. I thought that this was absolutely in line with our diversity and inclusiveness strategy in Volvo. And also that this was a topic that had not been tackled yet. So I went to Paris, signed this charter with other major global and very engaged companies like IBM, Total, Areva, Casino, the supermarket stores, Accenture. And I must say that this evening was very emotional. And when hearing all the testimonies, I really thought that we did a step in Volvo when it comes to diversity and inclusiveness. So I went back to Lyon, and I had the opportunity to meet with Vehicle Network. Vehicle is the LGBT employee network in Volvo. And This network is quite private, since a lot of its members are not officially out in the company. But the fact that I signed this charter made me an ally, so they accepted to spend some time with me. So I spent 2 hours with them, and I learned a lot. I remember having a discussion with Max. Max is not officially out in the company, and he told me that a few years ago, his partner had a disease. He had a cancer. And Max had to support his partner in the best way he could, of course, at the same time as he was focusing on his daily activity like any other employee. But what was even more difficult for Max was that since he was not out in the company, he couldn't share this terrible moment with his colleagues and with his manager. Can you just imagine having to face such a terrible personal problem, such a terrible disease with your partner, with your wife or husband, and not being able to share this with your colleagues, to explain to your manager why you don't always have a happy face in the morning? I was so shocked to hear that. We were in 2013 at that time. We are in Volvo, where diversity and inclusiveness is very high on the agenda. And still, there are some colleagues who do not want to reveal their homosexuality, even if they are facing such a terrible personal problem. So I asked Max, why do you still want to hide? Why, with such a terrible problem at home, do you stay hidden? His answer was very simple and clear. It was not because he didn't trust his colleagues or his manager. He trusted them, really. But he was still hearing bad jokes in the company about homosexuals. And he was afraid that this could have an impact on his career. I also personally think that once you started hiding, it's very difficult to come to the light. Just come one morning and say, oh, by the way, I forgot, I'm a gay or I'm a lesbian. So how can we help? How can we support LGBT employees who would like to do their coming out in the company if they want to? A few months ago, Vehicle Network in Lyon worked on an LGBT managerial guide. We discussed together to find a nice way to launch this guide. And we thought that it could be good to interview some top managers for them to express themselves about homosexuality and, of course, give their opinion about this guide. Some of the Vehicle members accepted to participate to the rush of this film. Thomas was one of them. But when Thomas saw the name of his manager in the list, he suddenly panicked. He never took the discussion with his manager, and he didn't know how she would react when seeing him during the rush. So we discussed with him and tried to convince him that if she accepted to do this interview, it was because she was absolutely okay with that. So he accepted to do the rush. But what was even more interesting was the reaction of his manager when we told her the story. She was absolutely shocked that he could have thought that he could have thought that she could not be okay with homosexuality. So this was a lesson for all of us. As long as you haven't said that you're okay with homosexuality, as long as you haven't taken the discussion with your team or with your colleagues, it's not obvious for them. So please take any opportunity to discuss that. Just telling personal experiences that you've had, discussing about something that you've heard on radio, on TV, any opportunity. Every word will count for them. The second point that I would like to mention is to really banish bad jokes. It's absolutely harmful for the LGBT community, of course, but not only, for any minority. And this is not such an easy thing to do. It's much easier to just say nothing or to laugh with the rest of the group. But we have to be brave on that. We have to show the exemplarity and really banish them. Coming back to my former manager, Christophe, he did his coming out while I was in the team. He just came one morning and started discussing about what he did during the weekend with his partner, like anybody else. And the impact was huge. Huge for him, of course. He was just freed. He was having fun with us. We could talk about anything, private or professional. But the impact was also huge on the team. The fact that he trusted us enough to reveal this personal side meant a lot to us. We were able to discuss about any issues that we were facing, professional or personal issues. Do you think this had an impact on Christophe's career? Yes, it had. Christophe was promoted a few months later. Of course, not because we knew that he was homosexual, but because this revelation really freed his potential. He was more aligned with himself. He was more confident, more open. So the message that I convey to you today is, of course, for the LGBT community, but not only. It's for all of us. It's for all of us to just be ourselves, to be more fulfilled in both personal and professional life. Be proud of your uniqueness. Respect and trust yourself as much as you respect and trust others. Thank you.